You are listening to episode number 55 of Inspire Your Success podcast. On today's episode, I'm going to talk about how you can go from broke blogger to wealthy writer. Coming up.
Hi, I'm Michael Leonard, and I built a full-time online writing business that offers me the freedom to never go back to a cubicle and a 9-to-5. If you're like most people, you want to make more money to pay off debt, have more freedom, travel, and actually enjoy your life. Whether you want to earn $500 per month as a side hustle or scale a writing business to 5 figures per month and quit your job, making money as a writer has never been easier. In this podcast, I want to inspire your success as a freelancer and show you how I 10x my income in 1 year and made $20,000 in 1 month as a freelance writer. If I can do it, I know you can too. Thanks so much for being here.
All right, welcome back. This is your host, Michael Leonard, and as always, thanks again for tuning in or watching here on YouTube. So this is a Monday edition of the show where I'm really going to talk a lot about the freelancing journey and what that takes to figure it out and speed up your success, because I've been at it for a few years now, and I am just always super transparent with you guys that the first little bit of my journey was extremely rocky. So one of the reasons I started this was to really help you speed up success, because I know what it's like to go through your days and spend hours online trying to figure out this blogging, writing, freelancing, digital entrepreneurship thing. So, you know, again, that's a pretty good start to this episode, because as I talked about and teased in the intro, is that this is really my story about going from broke blogger to what I like to call wealthy writers, because I hate the term broke writers, broke bloggers. Like, you know, it's just one of those things you hear consistently, but with so much opportunity out there today, you really do not need to settle for that anymore. And you don't need to be an aspiring writer or aspiring blogger. Like, you can be a successful writer. There's so many websites that will pay you online if you know how to get clients and make it work. So again, though, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but this is where I want to start with, because here's where I was going through, and here's where you might be at right now, and where I know a lot of bloggers are, because blogging has an unbelievable appeal, right? I mean, think about it. Like, you get to start a brand. You can write about whatever you want. You can create a cool looking website. You can start a YouTube, add a podcast, do an Instagram, or you can just focus on your blog. Like, you are your own boss. You get to do all this stuff. It's exciting. Like, literally, it was intoxicating for me for a few years. Like, the amount of potential that is out there is really cool. I mean, you know, there's people out there that I know personally that make over $100,000 a month from their blog. But then there's, you know, a lot more people that are, you know, struggling or just gave up. And that's why I talk about, you know, in a previous episode about why most blogs fail, is because it's pretty tough. If you don't know much about digital marketing, and if you don't understand SEO and Pinterest and Facebook ads and all this other stuff, it can be extremely taxing. I mean, you can literally, if you actually calculated your hourly rate that you're spending on your blog and the amount of money it's producing, you are probably working, if you're like most people, most bloggers, in the beginning, you are working for like slave labor wages. I'm talking like a couple of dollars, maybe an hour. I mean, maybe. Most blogs don't make money even the first few months or longer, depending on your niche and content creation and schedule and things like that. But again, if you really calculate it all, it's tough. And again, I'm never trying to sway people to just start freelance writing, but I always just want to talk about it, because again, this is coming from experience. Like, I literally, and I'm a very motivated guy. I mean, I was ambitious as ever. When I first left and I got started blogging, I was like, I'm going to figure this out. I spent thousands of dollars on online courses. I worked 16-hour days. I did all that stuff everybody says to do. And after 7 months of doing it as my full-time job, I barely had anything to show for it. I mean, literally, I was making some money on ads, an occasional affiliate sale, but for the most part, I just wasn't making much money online. And, you know, that took a big hit on me. For me, that really hurt, because I felt like I didn't know what else I could do. I mean, it wasn't like I was just working an hour or two a day and being like, oh, it didn't work, right? Like, I was putting everything into it. I was literally getting Pinterest coaching and SEO courses and all this stuff. I mean, I was like all in, and I was always writing. So it was tough though, because again, no one was reading it. And so if no one reads it, you're not going to build an email list. You're not going to get site traffic. You're not going to sell ads. You're not going to sell affiliates. You're not going to sell your own stuff. And it makes it really hard to keep the lights on. I mean, literally, I had saved so much money from when I quit my job that was the only reason I was able to keep this thing going. But finally, like I always talk about, January of 2018 was the turning point. Is because I was like, man, I gotta do something different. Like if I keep doing this, my savings will run out, my credit cards will max out, and I will have to crawl back to a 9-to-5 with my head down, because it just didn't work if I kept doing what I was doing. And that's the biggest thing, is that I recognized it. Like I was like, hey, I had to have a hard conversation with myself, because I wanted it. I wanted the blogging freedom, right? I wanted to be my own boss. And when you do write for other people, you technically still have someone to kind of report to at times. Again, you can still, write at 1 a.m. if you want to, or take the week off, or take a weekend off, or, you have a lot more flexibility. It's not like you're in a 9-to-5. But for some reason, I was very resistant to starting freelance writing. But once I got started, I mean, within a few months, I'd already made more than I had for the last 18 months of blogging, and it was just so much easier. I was making money literally in a fraction of the time. And then, it just compounded since 2018 and 2019, and now into 2020, I'm having one of my biggest months ever here in January and February. So it's like, it's crazy how it works sometimes, because blogging, again, that's why most bloggers fail. They don't figure out how to make money from it. And quite frankly, it's not very motivating if no one reads your stuff, or if you have a YouTube channel, no one watches it, or podcasts, things like that. But, specifically, that's where I was. And so I made the switch. I was like, look, I gotta get this thing going. I have a professional golf dream I'm chasing. And again, I never want to go back to work for anyone else. So I switched. And again, it wasn't instant. It wasn't like the next day I made $10,000 as a writer. But over the year, I was able to go from $650 the first month to $6,500 a month in monthly income in 12 months. And that was only working part-time, because I still was blogging. So here's kind of my 5-step framework for how I went from broke blogger to wealthy writer. And hopefully you just kind of understand a little bit more of the context now, so that way you don't think I'm just bashing on blogging. Like, I wanted my blog to work. I didn't want to write for anyone else. I wanted to do that, but it just wasn't working. But I'm so glad I found freelance writing. And here's the first thing. So first thing is, I had to admit to myself that blogging was not working. I had to have a hard conversation, look at myself in the mirror and be like, man, Michael, this is just not doing it, man. You got to do something else. And so I really trimmed down. I don't want to say I quit blogging entirely, but I probably spent about 80% less time on it. So that was really the first thing, is that I spent, a lot less time on it, so that way I could spend more time pitching clients, starting my writing career. And obviously it worked out very well, but I had to kind of have that conversation with myself. And it's very difficult. I get a lot of people lately, it seems like, have been DMing me on Instagram asking, well, can I just do both? And, again, I'm never going to tell anyone what to do with your writing business, but I will say from experience, it is challenging to write your own content and have a roster of clients. And if you have another job as well, I mean, that you are really spreading yourself thin. Again, I'm never going to tell you what's possible, what's not. What I will tell you though is, in my own life, I struggled with it. I tried to hold on to that blog. I was like, I'm one article away. I'm gonna figure this thing out. And for a while, when I started, for the first few months even, I mean, it still was pulling me back. I'd maybe get a quote unquote viral hit, or I'd get an affiliate sale and be like, oh, see, I can do this blogging thing. And it kept pulling me back. So you really have to make that commitment. And again, when I spent less time blogging, I could spend more time writing and then actually start making more money. So that's something you just need to understand, because your time is valuable. And most people just use their time like they're going to get more of it. But you can always make more money, but you can never get your time back. So you want to guard that very, very closely. And I even had a client that I'll have a whole nother episode about it, but I had a client in the first few months actually that was like a $3,000 a month retainer client. And it was great. I mean, I was so excited. I felt like I'd finally made it. It was ghostwriting, but it was for a best-selling author, also a very well-known guy in the industry. And, I thought I had made it, but I spent too much time blogging, and that meant I didn't edit my stuff well enough. And that actually led me to losing that client. So I'll also have a whole other episode about that. And I had to learn the hard way that, I just can't do it all. So that's something I just encourage you to think about before you start trying to do both. Because again, I get so many people lately that just want it all, and I love it. That's why you're following me, you're listening to this, you're watching this, you're obviously, you're ready to take it to the next level and make money as a writer. But you have to understand that you have to guard your time and try not to do too much, because then you're going to kind of half-ass it and not produce great results. And if you don't do that great results for your clients, they're not going to want to work with you, which is exactly what happened to me. So again, just something to think about when you are figuring out writing versus blogging. So but a whole nother episode as well. I think it's 2 or 3 episodes back, so make sure to check that one out. The next thing that I did is to transition from broke blogger to wealthy writer is to really just pitch. I mean, really writing is just a numbers game. And I talk about this with anyone I work with in my one-on-one accelerator program or any of my students inside my course. I'm always talking about this. Like, it is just a numbers game. It is all about pitching. Because most people just want to, do everything else other than pitching. They want to build the website and build the Upwork and get a nice fancy email and make the website look good. And they're delaying pitching. And the reason is because most people are terrified of pitching because it's going to lead to rejection, crickets, I'm not good enough, I should have never started this, all these things that we think about, right? But for me, I had to pitch. I mean, literally my back was against the wall. It was like, well, if you don't pitch, you're not going to get paid. And if you don't get paid and your blog isn't working, you're kind of screwed, right? So that was where I was. And I don't want you to get to like rock bottom like I did. I want you to try and move away from that as soon as possible. So get your name out there. If that is the biggest thing I did, is I just started pitching. And I remember one day I sent 40 or 50 pitches in one single day. And that led to some of my first gigs and really started building that momentum that I talk about often in this show. But it never would have happened if I just said, oh, I'm going to do 5 today or 10 today. Get your name out there. Just pitch, build some experience, get going. So that's one of the first things that I'll say.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Inspire Your Success Podcast, the #1 resource to help you make money writing online. If you're the type of person who wants to build a freelance writing business and fast track your success, I wanted to let you know there are a few spots open to enroll in my Freelance to 5K Accelerator Coaching Program. This program will give you one-on-one access to work together with Zoom calls, weekly check-ins, email support, and instant access to my signature course, Freelance to 5K. This investment in yourself will help you beat overwhelm, land clients, and create a clear plan so that you can reach your freelance writing goals in 2020. Spots are extremely limited, so make sure to act fast by filling out an application and booking a discovery call to learn more about working together. To get started, please visit inspireyoursuccess.com/coach to learn more. Thanks again for being here.
The third thing that I did was I doubled my rates after about 6 months or so. So that's a big one. And, at the time I was a beginning writer. I didn't know what to do. So most of my writing was about 10 cents a word. And really I was at that point where I was like making $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, but I wanted to make more. And I talked to one of my mentors, Benjamin Hardy, and he simply said, double your rates. It's that simple. Like, just, you're worth it, and you can do it. And doubling my rates was one of the best things I ever did because I've never went back. I've only continued to go up, and I've always delivered. Clients have always been like, wow, you're worth even more than that. Or I've, gotten new clients at 25, 35 cents a word, like all that. But it really is important if you have skills and you can be a great freelancer and network and deliver your content and hit deadlines, clients are going to want to work with you. So a lot of times you're probably undervaluing yourself, because I know I did, and I don't want you to do that, because that's one of the easiest ways to just spend way too much time writing and not get nearly enough money in that PayPal account. So I challenge you to double your rate, or at least 1.5x it. Just raise your rates, pitch some new clients, and see what happens. There's only a few things that can happen. They can either say yes, they can say no, or you can negotiate and get some sort of higher rate than normal. I mean, that's really it. So I challenge you to do it. Again, if you are someone that's worried, like, am I good enough? Am I not? That obviously means you care, which means you will step up and you will either deliver the work or you will learn a valuable lesson about becoming a better writer. So hopefully that gives you that permission. And again, hope you don't think you need it from me, but I want someone to tell you that you can charge more, you are worth it. Do not take these super, super low wages and think that's all you're worth, because I know you're not. The fourth thing that I did was I found a new niche, because when I started, I was all in the personal finance. I was the guy. I was the Roth IRA guy at work. I was talking about stock options, all that. But I just hated personal finance after a while. I hated writing about it. I was just tired of writing about 4,000 or 5,000 word blog posts on. I kept getting things like insurance and best pet insurance and life insurance and just like random stuff. And honestly, I was burnt out. I was regretting it. I didn't like my clients. I was just had a bad attitude, and I just wasn't that interested. And it's not that I didn't want to help people in that, but I didn't feel as though I was aligned anymore, because I was doing a ton of personal growth, walking on fire with Tony Robbins and going to every seminar I could and all this. And I felt really more aligned to that personal development. And once I started doing that and I switched to more of the self-improvement, motivation, things like that, I started to make a lot more money, and it was a lot easier to do. I never felt like I was dragging myself or forcing myself to pump some energy drinks to, get some content created. So I'm very, very passionate, and I tell all the people inside my courses and coaching that you should write about what you love. I really, truly believe that. It's going to make it a lot faster. It's going to make it a lot easier, and there's a niche for everything out there. So that's something that I did. And really the fifth thing, the final tip to go from broke blogger to wealthy writer, is I got a second niche. And, I talk about this a lot because I want people to hear it. I really like, repetition is how you learn. And the fifth thing I did is I got a second niche. I really started writing about golf a lot. And like I said, I tallied up 2018 and 2019 numbers, and I got paid over $40,000 to write about golf. And that's from maybe 5 clients or less. So again, you should have a niche. Like, you really should have a main niche, and it could be golf. It could be anything you want it to be. But I don't think there's anything wrong with having a secondary niche. And a lot of people out there are telling you otherwise, but I'm living proof that you can have more than one. And, as long as you clearly communicate that to clients and you have it on your website and you're obviously knowledgeable about it or want to learn more about it, you can absolutely do it. And so that really helped me. Again, that $40,000 extra in the last 2 years really helps. So again, I'm definitely not here to bash blogging. I know a lot of bloggers. I've had bloggers on the show, right? And for me, though, that's just what I've seen. And I just want to help you make money online so that way you can create more freedom and the life that you've always wanted. Because I'm here to tell you it's 100% possible, but you have to spend your time wisely. So just a quick recap of how I was able to do it. Again, I stopped blogging a lot. I probably cut down 70 to 80%. I pitched like crazy. I got out there. I got my name in front of people. I landed gigs and built momentum. From there, I was able to increase or actually double my rates. I switched niches from personal finance to personal development. And then I got that secondary niche of golf writing. So, I challenge you to think about where you're at right now. Maybe you're someone that's experiencing that and you're trying to do it all, but you're just not doing anything really that good right now. Like, forgive yourself, understand that you're ambitious, you're trying to do it all. Like, that's great, but sometimes you have to niche down and spend your time super wise so that way you can really make some progress, make some momentum. And what I've done, like another thing too, with freelance writing has helped me start this podcast. It's also helped me hire a small team. So now I can help grow my blog. So also something to think about is like, how else can you make money to leverage so you can get help for your blog? Because again, blogging requires a lot of your time, a lot of your energy, a lot of work. So it's really nice if you have assistants and VAs, both domestic or overseas, however you want to do it. There's a lot of ways you can grow a team online. So hopefully that gives you some things to think about. Again, I'm just here to help, share some of my journeys, be super transparent with you, because again, I want you to speed up success a lot faster than I did. So if you have any questions, again, always email support@inspireyoursuccess.com, where we can address future questions on episodes as well. So thank you again for listening. I appreciate you as always, and I hope you have an epic day.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Inspire Your Success podcast. If you're the kind of person who likes to help others, please leave a positive review on iTunes so more people can learn about the show. Also, if you have any questions about freelancing, I'm here to assist. Please email support@inspireyoursuccess.com and I may even use your question for a future episode topic. And if you want more inspiration and freelance writing tips to build your business, follow me on Instagram. My username is @IamMichaelLeonard. Finally, if you're ready to learn how to make your first $1,000 as a freelance writer, check out my free 7-day series at inspireyoursuccess.com/1K. Thanks again for listening.